Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for commenting, liking, subscribing and sharing my link. If you are new to this channel, welcome. I'm Tamia and let's get into the video. So first things first, I'd like to apologize for the different settings. This is part one. So what happened is that I filmed earlier on in the day, and as I finished editing part one and I was exporting the video, my videos disappeared. And they were nowhere to be found. They were not on the cloud, they were not on the phone. So I had to restart because I had promised, you know what, I'm gonna upload every Wednesday, and this is where my life is right now. So as I had mentioned in my introductory vlog, I will be talking about identity today, and I've decided to start off with a definition so that we all start off on the same level, right? So that we do not misunderstand each other. I'm going to read this definition of the Instagram, the internet. The definition of identity is who you are, the way you think about yourself, the way you are viewed by the world, and the characteristics that define you. First things first, I am Tamia Tandiwe Kotrias, born and bred in Venda, right? Kotrias is Kotrias. It's like countries without the N. Growing up, most people used to call me Kotrias because of my gran. I don't know why they used to call her that as a matron, but it's the closest thing to my surname.
I'm still trying to.
So, growing up, I never felt the need to define or explain myself to people because I feel like the mood, the environment was already set for me. My sister is a well-known, I don't want to say bully because she's not a bully. She just knew how to stand her ground. She was very firm in what she believed in, and she was very protective of me. So that's how my sister's known. My mother, on the other hand, has always been very active in my academics and knew my teachers before me. So it's like my teachers knew me before I knew myself, basically. And then my grandmother is the mother of the nation, and like we are the only family with that surname, like where we stay, you get. So it's very easy to pinpoint where I'm from. And the reason why I'm saying all of this is because I spent my childhood years Venda, from nursery school till primary school, and I was never questioned. I was like, me being Tamia is me being Tamia. And I think also at that point we weren't clever enough to be thinking about other things. If I say to you my name is Tamia, then my name is Tamia, because at that point I feel like we were just worried about being friends, you know, like that's all that mattered. And apart from that, the other things that mattered to me definitely have to be education. Yeah, I cared a lot about my education when I was young. It had to be education, love, and safety. And if you gave me those three things, then I was good to go. I wasn't a problematic child. So at home, growing up, we spoke English. Well, we had like a mixture of a lot of languages, right? But the main language was English. Here and there would have Tshivenda and Afrikaans. So what happened was that I was not fully introduced, but I was introduced to Venda in primary school, because that's where I had like exposure, like the most exposure to the language, and I learned from my friends, and you know, you get the vibe. So basically the only person in my family who's well equipped to be speaking in Tshivenda is my sister, because she studied Tshivenda throughout her schooling years. I, however, only did Afrikaans. Like I did Afrikaans from like grade 3 until matric, and that's because no one in the house would be able to help me with Tshivenda, because hey, my family, it's quite intense that side. So yeah, I started having problems with this whole identity topic when I got to high school. I was a good 8-hour drive away from home. I was in a different province, different environments, new people, and I knew that I had to find ways to make myself comfortable because I was going to be there until I matriculate, right? And it was that whole thing of you guys are all top students from the schools you come from, and I wasn't about to get there and compete with people because I do not know people, and it's going to be very forward of me to just get there and think that I'm the cherry on top, because life will humble you. So for me, the first 3 weeks in high school were the worst because I was constantly asked, why is it that I don't look like my name? Like, what do you mean I do not look like my name? Like, is there a template? Like, when you see Tamia Gutriesne or you think of my name, is there a certain way I'm supposed to look? Because if that's the case, if there's a template for Tamia, then my cousin and I would be identical because we've got 2 Tamias in the family. So I'm trying to understand. And then people would ask, where are you from? I'm from Venda. So you Venda? No, I'm not Venda. What do you mean you're not Venda? I mean exactly that. What are you? Guys, I was constantly being, not bashed, but I was being interrogated almost every day because obviously it's the first few weeks, it's a lot of us, we're trying to get to know each other. But the one thing that really used to get to me is the fact that they'd all come and ask me the same question over and over again. And I found myself in a space whereby I had to call my mom every day after school, put her on loudspeaker, and ask her the same questions. I'm pretty sure my mom was like, this child is losing her mind. But I'd ask, Mommy, what is my name? Mommy, what am I? Mommy, what languages do we speak at home? Mom, am I Venda? No. But it's like these people did not want to accept me for who I was. It's either I was being told that I'm fake, I was being told that I'm too loud, I was being told that I'm way too energetic, or I just like following people around like a puppy, and apparently that's how I used to chase friendship. That's what I was told. So let me tell you something about friendship. If you and your friends are together because of a secret, you guys are not friends. Because the moment that secret gets out, when someone gets the code to open up the vault, you'll realize that you're on your own. One man jive, one man show, and that's the harsh reality. I feel like if you're in that situation, I suggest now that you start like looking into getting proper friends, because the ones that you're friends with because of a secret aren't your friends. You guys are basically tolerating each other and being there because there's one thing you have in common, which isn't ideal for friendships. It's not ideal for your health. It's just not good. So run. That's it. Run. If there's anything that I've learned is that prejudice and stereotypes, those 2 things are killing the youth. Guys, do you know how dangerous preconceived ideas are? Because I do not match up to what you want me to be, you feel the need to come and tramp on me because I do not live up to the standards that you want me to live up to. I found myself being a chameleon in high school. I was a chameleon, I'm not gonna lie. I would change and switch up and alter myself every now and then just so I could fit into certain groups, because I was trying to, get comfortable, like make myself at home, because I knew I was going to be there till I matriculate, and that's a long time. First things first, I'm there for a good 3 months, and I go home for a month, and I come back 3 months, and I go home. Do you get how often I'm going to be seeing these people? So the best thing is for us to find a way of coexisting with one another. But Kisana, that was something that was foreign, because I didn't look colored, I didn't sound colored, and I'm supposedly Venda. It's just that I'm running away from the fact that I'm Venda. So that's that. And the one thing that really used to make me mad is the fact that people always thought that there was something I was hiding. Why? If you guys are not telling me that I do not look like who I am, you are telling me that I'm too fat to be dancing. If it's not that, you're telling me that I'm too annoying, I'm too talkative, I will not make it far, I'm not smart enough. And as people say these things because they feel like they are well established in being themselves, they are not aware of the impact that they have on your self-esteem and on your identity. Because every time I was questioned, a part of me would like start questioning myself. Bana, Tamia nyani, are you what you say you are? Like, is that really you, or is it an idea? And it honestly messed me up, because now it did a lot to me emotionally and mentally, but I couldn't express my emotions. It's one thing that I've always struggled with ever since. I've never been good to express my emotions. And this is where, for me, dancing played a big part, because I love dancing. I'm passionate about it. It's very expressive, and it was my safe haven. It was like an escape for me. Like, it was me running away from reality. I have never felt safe before, like the way I felt safe in a dance studio, or the way I felt safe dancing. As much as people would tell me that I'm too big to be dancing, or I'm forcing matters, I'm never going to make it into the dance company, you know, there was always something negative that was coming my way. But I'd try by all means to not react, but I couldn't react to the things that people were telling me. So now, because I couldn't express myself, like express, I don't know how to handle my emotions. So now, when I was dancing and we've learned choreography and you're now being told, put some emotion into it, I'd now take all that frustration from students, from the other girls, and put it into my dancing. And I feel like that's what helped me be me and establish myself in the, I don't want to say in the field, because it's not in the field, but that's how I established myself on stage, in the space that I was in. That's how I got comfortable with myself, and that's how I got real when I came to telling my story through expressive movements. Because I was like, you give me a narrative, ne, and you're like, to me, I tell the story. Trust me, the way I tell my story, or I tell the story that you give me, is going to be way different to the way someone else is going to tell you the story, because we've been through different experiences in life and react to situations differently. So I was shaped by the views people had of me. Like, if you told me that I'm stupid, guys, I would internalize that I'm stupid, and I wouldn't feel worthy of being at the school, because I'm like, why am I here? Because I don't live up to the standard. I don't match up to what the other girls are like. Do you get? And then, like, I just when you tell me I'm ugly, I would see myself as ugly, that it became a reality. And it was so scary, because when someone comes to me and tells me, tell me, bro, you're beautiful, I'm just like, my boy, why are you lying to me? Why are you lying to me? So it really distorted my image. Like, it distorted my image. And as a result, I resorted to physical pain, because I didn't know how else to express my emotion. So with physical pain, I would go and throw myself around the dance studio during study hall and blasting the music, and, you know, try all these tricks that I know I cannot do. But the reason I was doing them was because I enjoyed feeling the pain. I became comfortable with pain. And this is what now paved the way to my self-harm tendencies, because now I'd much rather feel physical pain than to feel pain on the inside but not know how to feel it. Like, I don't know how to explain it, but I'd much rather feel physical pain than just know that I'm hurting on the inside and not know how to how to feel the hurt.
Miss me, give me zero, ma'am. Rather, I fall and I bleed and I feel this pain because that's just, excuse me, it makes more sense for me.
Yeah, in high school, my 8th grade was not the best. It's not what I expected, but life is like a bola. It does what it does best. It just rocks up and shows you flames when it wants to. So that, for me, that year really set the mood and the tone for my entire high school life. I came to terms with the fact that I'll never be accepted for who I was. And I understood that people didn't really have other students' interests at heart. It was more of me. Because if you do not have friends who are squad deep, forget survival. I mean, there was this whole thing of unity, and grades and your sisterhood and all of that. But to be quite honest, I was suffering and I couldn't even tell people. I couldn't even really talk to my psychologist. I used to cry myself to sleep most of the time. Whenever my roommate had to go to co-curricular and I'd be fine, the moment she leaves, I'd be crying. If I'm not crying, I'm slitting myself. And I need to now logically think, Bana, if I'm going to slit my wrist, how deep should the cuts be? Where exactly can I thingy? Because at some point I'm gonna go home, and at home I'm like a free person. I walk however I want to walk, and we're very comfortable around each other. So now imagine I'm walking in my underwear, and then my mom is just like to me, what are those lines? How am I gonna explain that? I mean, like, even if we should take a recent situation, right? I was going through something. I was in pain, and I was in an environment where I did not want people to know that I was not okay. So I went to the bathroom and I was crying. It was bad. Like, those silent cries, but like my eyes within 10 minutes were like puffy. 10 minutes is even a lot, but they were like super puffy. And as I was crying, because I did not want to make noise, I was wearing shorts. So I sat and I was crapping myself. I had lines all over. I was like red. And I didn't take it serious. I was like, man, guys, it's going to disappear. Joke's on me, because the next day I realized, oopsie, the lines have decided to stay. And it became very awkward when I went back home. And because this is like really recent, this was in December. And when I went back home, my mother was like, Tamia, what happened? I was like, don't ask. Do not go there. Please don't go there. I beg, mother. I know you love me, but please do not go there. And she's like, is it one of your episodes? I'm like, so another thing that I want to talk about is the impact that people have on a person, right? So it says here that identity may be acquired indirectly from parents, peers, or other role models, and children come to define themselves in terms of how they think their parents see them. So if their parents see them as worthless, they will come to define themselves as worthless. People who perceive themselves as likable may remember more positive than negative statements. Right? Be kind in what you say. Like, do not be quick to judge a person or like come up with irrational. So, guys, before you say anything, learn, educate yourself. Why is it that I'm like this? What if I was adopted, or what if my mother was raped? Or you would never know the story behind me. You would never know the the dynamics, my identity dynamics, because you did not give me the chance to tell you. You just decided to jump into conclusions because that's what you do best. Conducted some sort of survey on Instagram, and one thing that I always fail to understand is the fact that why is it that when you're born you are what your father is? Why do I have to be what my father is? Has it been proven scientifically? Is there a law that states that? Like, what or who constitutes me being what I am, if that makes sense?
My English is quite gone because I'm really hurt because I filmed and it disappeared. But we move. This is just the devil trying me.
The devil trying me. But I'm trying to understand that why is it that when a child is born, you going to say that the child is what the father is? Because I know so many times people have been trying to correct me, Bana, Tamia, you're probably not colored. What is your father? What is your father's parent? Like, what are they? Where do they come from? Guys, the way you live and the way I live is totally different. Ne? Your cultural beliefs and traditions are definitely going to be different to ours, the way we do things at home. Because we like an easygoing family, you know? It's fine. So the first part was a poll. I asked, if your mother's Sotho and your father's Zulu, what are you? 96% said Zulu. Okay, fine, I took note of that. Then I asked, if your mother is Xhosa and your father's German, what are you? People still came through with saying German, abanye were like, you're mixed. And then this is where I started finding the more interesting views. But before I read them out, what I picked up is that the older generations, like elderly people, say that you are what your father is because without the male species, you would not be born because there was no sperm. Therefore, thus. But like when I look at responses from younger generation, everyone talks about tradition, talks about patriarchy. Like, you know, it's quite interesting. So I'm gonna read this one out. It says, if the father was African, I would say that you would take the father's tribe, since our tradition in this regard favors patriarchy. But since the man is European and not of African descent, I would say the choice is up to you.
Why is it that the choice is up to you? Because the person is not, like one of your parents is not African. Like, why do you now have a choice? Because there's a different, okay.
Because if the father was African, we would have a lot of factors to consider. For example, ancestral issues and others that concern your spirituality as an African. But since we are talking about a European here, there's no problem since matters ancestral spirituality are not of their culture. So now what happens in a situation whereby, let's take me for example, my father's side of the family, they do their ancestral things, but my mother's side, my family doesn't. We don't partake in those things. Like, and I'm not bashing people who like believe in ancestors and also are Christians. Like, you are entitled to do what you want to do, what suits you and what works for you. But for me, that's not the case. Why is it that people or children have to be what their fathers are when there's no link? I don't know how to say this, but I'd like to think that the reason why people believe that the child is what the father is because of the ideal family, the idea of how a family is supposed to be, especially in the black community. You are supposed to get married, right? Then when you get married, you adopt your husband's surname. Now you're under him, ne? And then you get kids. The kids are going to take his surname. Why? Because they belong to that gent, right? And him marrying you means that he kind of sort of did some form of, you gotta go ahead from your family. And in most cases, people apparently even involve like ancestors and they like rituals and ceremonies to do with that. But now what happens in a situation whereby your parents are not married, the father did not pay damages? What gives the father the right to claim the child? That is where, like, that is one thing that gets to me. And one of the people who responded to this poll said that with the German example, you'd be German because in the African culture you take on your father's identity if your parents are married. And I asked, what if the parents are not married? And the response was, you take your mother's culture. So I don't understand this thing of you are what your father is. It doesn't make sense to me. And unless someone can prove it to me, like, prove it, I'm not gonna believe in it. So if you're gonna come at me saying I'm what my father is, go argue with your toes, because I'm not gonna listen. Because you know your family history, you know who you are, you know what you are, doesn't give you the right to now impose your ways of thinking on another person. Baby, at the end of the day, my boy, it's about you. It's about you. And then I got a response from this other friend of mine, and she said that it depends on where you live and what you identify as. She is both Swedish and German. Excuse me, both Swedish and German. Do you get that? She does not say I am German because of my father, or I'm Swedish because of my father. It is both Swedish and German. So why is it that in the black culture, if you are a mixture of Zulu and Xhosa, why is it that you feel the need to say you Zulu because your father's Zulu? If that's how you were taught at home, well done. Continue going the way you guys do it at home. Do not take what you have at your place, and bring it to me because we're not from the same place. It's like what my grand says all the time, but now, if you have your own beliefs in your own house, you've got your own house, your family, and you have certain beliefs, do not bring those beliefs into my house, because under my roof, this is what we do. And when you come to my roof, you do as I do. You can go do whatever it is that you do in your own house. I am sorry that I am not what you expected. I am sorry that I do not live up to what you want me to be. But at the end of the day, it's not about you, it's about me. At the end of the day, I have me. I'm all that I've got. One thing I also want to bring up is that we may have grown together. Is that the English? Upbringing wetu, like, yeah. I don't know how to say this, but we may have been in the same spaces, in the same environment growing up, and especially in my situation. And then ndachamba chivenda ati muvenda mara ndamba chivenda ngori ndo aluchera venda. Translation, I'm not Venda, but I speak Chivenda because I grew up in Venda. So obviously for me, Chivenda was like the language of communication growing up with friends and everything. But because now I am brave enough to tell you who I am and correct you when you are wrong, do not think that I'm trying to act better than. I'm just taking pride in who I am. When I suddenly forget how to say certain things in Chivenda, I do not know why you guys think it's right to make me feel bad for forgetting words and phrases. I do not speak Chivenda 24/7. And even where I am in Port Elizabeth, I was mostly surrounded by amaXhosa, and you seldomly so find Vavenda. In Cape Town, it's not like I just walk and bump into Mutona Vavenda and then I can speak to you in Chivenda. So do not feel like this is just something I'm gonna say like broadly. Have pride in who you are and your culture, but do not tramp on other cultures because you want to make your culture seem superior. You think you're the best. No. And I really don't understand why people now go, oh, because you've been gone for 6 months, you think now you're better than us. That's not even the case. When you speak Zulu 24/7, wherever you are, on your phone it's fully Zulu, at home it's fully Zulu, your friends are all Zulu, like 98.9% of the people around you are Zulu. Obviously you're still going to be fluent in Zulu because that's the language. Now if you're someone like me who loves learning languages and just loves being versatile, I want to pick up as much as I can wherever I am. If I am in Durban, I'm going to want to pick up on Zulu. If I'm in East London, I'm going to want to pick up on Xhosa. If I'm in Joburg, I'm going to want to pick up on Sesotho or Sepedi or Setswana. I want to educate myself. I want to be able to communicate with
as many people as I can, right?
So now do not project your problems on me. Do not say, me now, I speak English and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't remember how to say this. If I don't remember how to say it, I won't lie and say, yo, kanen na. If I don't remember, I don't remember. Suck it up. Drink water. Sleep. That's just how it is. Hi guys, so I have decided to cut this vlog into two. There's going to be part 1 and part 2. This is part 1, and hopefully by the time you see this, I've already posted part 2 as well. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and see you next time.